Yes.
Recording.
So did you print a agenda?
No, I don't.
I didn't have a way to print one.
You saw the agenda.
Did you see the agenda?
Yes, I read. it.
So everybody's okay if we just work electronically?
I think so.
Good. So this is the planning commission for January 2023. And we're opening at 7:07. Easy number to remember. And we have present
And Carter.
Bill Irwin
Nikki Craig.
and
Second. We'll be on 1 second.
so Heather, we just opened the meeting at 7:07 and introduced the three of ourselves. You want to introduce yourself?
There she is. See that?
Hi, Heather. Can you introduce yourself for the agenda?
This is Heather. Heather Jewett.
His ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, and whatever's in the background.
Oh, sorry. We're still having family gatherings.
Okay. No problem. So we were looking at the agenda. We have had our introductions as well as opened. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Brenda's not gonna be here tonight, she said.
Okay. I would like to talk about something Tammy sent out about maybe a variance, or we have something about a place on Jordan Road, so maybe we can just add that in.
Okay, let me just. So what do you call it?
Well, it was a inquiry from someone that bought a place in Bakersfield and sounded like they don't think they have enough room. Must have been a grandfathered lot of 1 acre in the rural district, and they want to build a garage, but they're not sure they have enough room to put the garage up with the setbacks. So they're kind of curious what to do about it.
Jordan Road.
Yeah.
Property.
There you go.
Okay, I put it in after the zoning administrator report, which may occur, we're not sure. And I think we should talk about the 2023 town election and budget.
That was good.
All right, so we have adjusted the agenda for those two. And there's no one here from the public. So we'll assume there's no public comment unless there's anybody else on the line there. Something's changing there.
There's something there.
Okay. And let me just capture all this. All right. So the minutes were sent out. Did anybody have any changes to the minutes?
Did not.
Nope.
Entertain a motion on the minutes?
I move we accept those minutes.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, all in favor of the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. I was not there.
Okay.
Just say your name for record, but not she.
Yeah, if you could just say your name, Heather, that'd be great.
Hi, Heather Jewett. I abstain.
Thank you, Heather. And the good news is you don't have to worry. It's just us. And then we'll move on to the zoning administrator report. Not, Oh,
She's not
okay.
here. She has nothing to report, she said.
Very good.
She's in New York.
Well, that's right. I thought she was going to join in by telecom, but that's okay. All right, so we are then at the Jordan Road property.
John, I don't know if you can help us with this, but Tammy sent us something that you had sent to her about this property.
Yeah, so. Just see if Heather has access to her email. Heather, do you have access to the planning commission email I set up?
Let me check. 1 minute, sorry.
Okay, it's no problem. It's in the email address I had set up. There was an email sent from an individual who was originally looking to purchase, but I think has since purchased property on that road. And they had a question because it was only 1 acre about they wanted, as you stated, Ken, with the barn, and they wanted to do some work and wasn't sure how they could, kind of get that done with the small footprint and the setbacks.
Yeah, they
I believe
asked.
they were asking if they could purchase an acre from an
Another
adjoining
neighbor.
landowner.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm not-
that's exactly it, Nikki. They were looking to buy some land from somebody next door, add it to their property in order to be able to build the structure.
Yeah.
And they weren't sure how to have that happen or if it was possible.
So how did they get approved to buy just an acre?
I think it's more than an acre. I apologize. I flip-flopped the acre piece. They want to buy an acre from the neighbor to do what they need to do. But they are
I
on,
think it's smaller.
it's a small
than
footprint to begin with.
It's already under what it should be. I think it must have been grandfathered in at some point.
Yeah.
Because the acreage they bought is less than, is it 10 or 20 in the rural district?
10.
I think it's less than that.
If it's all in the email, if Heather can get it open, I just
Right,
don't have
so-
access to it. Right now.
Yeah, the
First of all, I don't understand why we would discuss email. It's not a public hearing. If people want to discuss things, they should
They
come
should come.
to the planning commission.
Mm.
And we're not advisors on what you purchase and don't purchase.
Yeah.
Correct.
You make your own decisions with regard to that. If you want to have this big, you don't buy that big. It's just kind of general thought I have. But generally speaking, we are not an advisory body. We can, but we don't do it through email.
Right.
That's against the public records law. So we need to have people come to us as a group to talk about things. That's why I don't even like the email address.
Right.
I think it violates the public records law for us to have a separate email address where everyone's on it. You've established a quorum by doing that.
Mhm.
And that is wrong because you don't verify you have a quorum every time you do it. And we're not
You
making it
don't
public.
agree with having the planning commission email being separate? Is that what you're saying?
I don't understand why we need an email.
Because you shouldn't
don't-
be using your private email at all and associated with any of the town, because then they can sequester, if somebody sequesters something, they can grab all your private emails. They're just gonna say.
We don't
what
do,
form
we don't
of-
do,
We don't do
we
business.
don't do
on
any
email.
business by email. That's what.
That's
I'm
correct, but
objecting to.
even just anything, any communications, like if you've ever been in a town clerk's office, like had a town clerk's position, it says any correspondence, they can grab it. So if you're using your private email and we have any correspondence and somebody flags it and says, hey, just wondering, was there any, they want to snoop, and they did this just recently in 3 towns. You're using your private
So,
email, they can sequester all of it.
I don't understand that, because if we use a town email to reach out to Ken Carter at private and he replies, and to Nikki Cribb and she replies, or to you at your private email address, then we have multiple private email addresses.
Right.
That are connected.
That's
And to your
That's
point,
correct.
Bill, the other thing is if supposedly if you use the computer or you look at your phone during meetings, that can also be drug into it. So to Bill's point, I'm using my home PC to look at the conjoined email for any board. Then technically my PC then gets open to scrutiny as well, and they can subpoena that as well. But to your first point, Bill, you're absolutely right. And if you want to, if somebody wants to respond and just say, come to a planning commission meeting, our next one is the first Monday of the month, we'll discuss this. You can bring forth your questions or
Right.
concerns.
And that's the way I would like to do it. I don't want to do anything electronically.
Mhm.
I have a
Oh,
problem.
yeah, I
printing.
agree. I agree that nobody should be doing anything. I'm just saying, I don't even want, we had something happen with the zoning board. I didn't even want anybody having access to my private email, lawyers included. So lawyers were getting a hold of my personal email because we all had to do this for the ZBA. And I said, absolutely not doing that anymore. It's very common. Every town has their own Gmail account, or usually it's done underneath the town. You generally is a town, would be like town in Cambridge. We can't, our devices can't handle that. John can
Right.
explain more about that, but so we just
But I
kind of
don't
worked
even
our
know
way
how to
around it. Like,
access this email.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
it's a Gmail account. You would have to make a separate,
So we have to create new email accounts.
no, it's already,
In order to access Gmail.
you would have to go into Gmail into their email system, enter in the email address and the passcode that has been set for it. And each of you do not have separate. It would all be the same. My only problem with the way this was, not this box, but any of the boxes we've set up in the last year or so, is that Ken reads it and goes, oh, that's not important, throws it in the trash. And I don't get to see the email. And to me, it may have been something that should have been discussed. So that's right where my concern was with email as a whole. We are in that kind of world, right, where you're getting we're becoming more dependent upon electronic equipment. So if the stance of the planning commission is any requests, you have to come physically on the first Monday of the month or on the posted meeting day, the next posted meeting day, then that's the stance. And, that's all that has to be done with this individual or anyone moving forward.
Does the select board actually do anything by?
We receive a lot of stuff via email. We read the email, but we don't discuss it until we get into a quorum, into the thing. So people are prepared. Someone will print it out. The biggest thing with the way we treat email, to what your concerns are, is that the five of us don't start having a conversation in the email thread. We wait for the meeting night and discuss it, kind of like how Ken just brought it up. The one that was in there. We don't have this.
So I've decided now I want to increase the budget of the planning commission to $80,000 a year. And I want to have a human that does everything for the planning commission for me, so that I don't do any of this,
Okay.
except come here and hear people when they have questions.
Questions or concerns?
And they have an application.
To your point, Bill, in the past, it was sent to the town clerk, we'll say, and she would either bring it up to someone or say, hey, you need to go to the meeting first Monday of the month. That's how it used to happen. You may have heard from Kathy and she said, hey, so-and-so sent an email, ABC, whatever request. And I'm sure your response was, tell me to come to the meeting. So, I mean, if that is the normal message, then that's the normal message, come to the meeting.
Well, I don't know how the rest of you feel.
I feel the same. I think they
I
should
feel
be
the same.
here. Yep.
Yep.
And I definitely don't want anyone snooping in my private email. Not that there's anything there, but if I don't really understand, like what we're doing now seems to work. We're just getting the agenda sent out in the minutes, basically. It seems like, and
Yeah.
heads up that there's another meeting.
and I
That's
will
coming to my
say,
private-
I will alert you that if you do use it, they can still sequester because they're gonna see to make sure you're telling the truth. That's what my point is. Like, hey, we only use this for email going back and forth saying, hey, we're gonna cancel the meeting or blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what, and they just did this in 3 towns. So you guys be aware. But my personal email, it's private. That's my private. Not that I have anything to hide, but I don't want my 30,000 emails that I get potentially out there for the public to view. And that's exactly what could happen. They're gonna ask you, how do you talk to each other? How do you tell each other a meeting's going? Because you and I can just say to the cows come home, we never talk about it. They are gonna prove it, and they will dig up. Just because you deleted an email doesn't mean it's deleted. They can dig it up from resurrection. So keep that
That is
in your
true.
back pocket.
So I'd like to adjust the budget to 140,000 a year because I would like to have an attorney present at every meeting.
Every meeting.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
think
I did mention it to the attorney that came up for the ZBA meeting, and he did not say that I wasn't crazy. He didn't say I was crazy.
I have, in a business perspective, which this is treated the same way as a business government, I have been a part of the forensic scrubbing of emails, every email going across
Mhm.
14 years, have to pull it down, send devices in, send hard drives. You know, when one attorney's trying to make it a very difficult Herculean task, you know, to cause pressure and pain and cost you as much money as they can so that you will either yield and or settle. That's what they do. They start getting crazy with everything. So it's not out of the norm, but you know, to Bill's point, you didn't have email before, you never had this concern. The problem was when your personal email started getting added to the website. The same problem the select board had. Our personal emails were being added to,
Who added
the town
personal
website.
emails to?
Absolutely should not have happened.
while it was this point of contact, they were adding contact information and it was explained to us that we had to have some form of contact for the group. So we made the universal,
Well, that's what a town
The
clerk
piece.
does.
and
Town clerk takes the message and calls.
that could be your stance. Listen, you want the planning board, you call the town clerk, she'll take a message and let us know that you need something. It's just, you know, how the planning board wants to move forward. And I think
Well,
it's
I just tell
important.
you that for me, if the town starts to get this wacky,
Mhm.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I have a question. This wasn't on the, I'm not sure where we are with the agenda because this isn't a topic that was on the agenda. And I feel like we've,
Well, it's about the Jordan Road
yeah,
property.
so I think we need to
And
pull it back a bit. here
and
because
that
we're-
was added
Yeah.
at the beginning, but it is, first of all, I'm serious when I say this, that if the town is going to make this job worse.
Right.
With this kind of poop, then I'm not really interested in it
Right.
because.
So are
we've
you
been-
saying if the town has to comply by the state requirements, then you're,
No, you know, I don't know what those are and I don't really have a lot of comfort that you understand them completely either.
when I was
would-
an assistant town
However,
clerk?
I am very clear about how I feel, and that is that I don't want to have a job that
Okay.
normally would have taken me 10 minutes tonight.
Right.
Okay, I've got
It's
to step
already
out. I'm
taken-
having a family, we're having our family stuff. So I'm gonna gracefully bow out. You guys have a great evening and you just do you and hope everybody has a great 2023. Take care, everybody.
Right, Heather?
I would say I will check once again. We did check once before with the Vermont Cities, Leagues and Towns and find out contact information for each board, right? And if we can put a head person, be it Kathy takes calls Monday to Thursday, and we leave it that way.
I mean, we've all been
Virgin.
contacted by telephone,
Right,
and that's why we do telephone, is
Right.
telephone.
Because it's one-on-one, there's
doesn't-
no quorum.
Right.
right,
And that's why we don't want email. You've pointed out we've pointed out here tonight, two different perspectives.
right,
Yours is that you don't want someone deleting something because they think it's no longer useful.
right,
Or I've pointed out, we don't want to have suddenly multiple people discussing something in email
right,
because now we violated the open meeting law. So we would like it to be the way that it was. And you can also tell them that if they don't want to have it that way, we need to understand more clearly, and I don't want to hear it from another town's representative. I'd like to hear it
From
from
ours.
our representatives.
right.
And I'd like to be sure that it is legally accurate, because I just don't know.
Right. That's what I
Because
said.
people, I'm the chairperson of the Northwest Regional Planning Commission.
Mhm.
And we use our private email addresses to communicate about agendas, about minutes, the acceptance of those minutes, if that's to be read. But it is not something that a lawyer can come and subpoena all of our records from our computers unless it is a criminal case and there is justification in law in court to do that.
Mhm.
So these threats of people coming to get your computer stuff, those are really easy to make
Right.
vocally, but they're not really easy to make legally.
right.
Lawyers don't just do things. They go to courts for
Right.
actual papers allowing them to do things, and they're not going to do that to us.
My original understanding was the board wanted an email address, so I made it. So I obviously see that you don't want an email address. The biggest thing is Tammy maintains the website. Just take the email address down.
Yeah.
I mean, that it removes the problem. You know what I mean? And like I said, I can
Phone
check
number is
with,
the town
Yeah,
clerk's
phone-
phone number.
phone-
right. And if you do, and she could put in there to contact the planning commission, contact the town clerk. Right? I mean, it's as simple as that. I don't know how it was originally,
Have
but
we had any issues with people saying we cannot get hold of the planning
How
commission?
long have you done this?
Long time. Long time.
I mean, if no
14
one
years,
is
15.
I've done it for 12 years. and
complaining,
never-
I don't
This
see.
is
any
the first
effect.
time I'm hearing about it, and I feel like it's all just, it's much ado about.
well, as I said, Tammy's on the board. She takes care of the website. Just let her know you guys, I mean, you have a quorum right here. Three, you say you don't want email, right?
Yeah.
So just let Tammy know to take it down off the website.
And also that we really don't want
Do business.
to do business by email either.
Right. right.
Because it is meant to be a public process.
Right.
Because that individual who seeks to get 1 acre of land from a neighbor
Mhm.
has other neighbors.
Mhm.
We don't know how many. It could be like one of our cases this summer, that there's 20 other people that are potentially affected by that.
Right.
So for us to consider that one person's position from them alone in a non-public manner gives them an advantage that all the others don't have.
Right.
And that's why we ask people to take the time to come here. We've done it. We try to make sure that it's posted when we're meeting
Mhm.
so that they can do it.
Absolutely. I don't disagree. Like I said, you just let Tammy know to take it down off the site. You have a quorum, so it isn't even like someone go, well, you didn't have a quorum. You have the quorum. You don't
So
want it.
you're saying that we need to tell her.
Yeah, Tammy manages the site.
I
So
move,
it's just-
I
it's
move
just-
we request Tammy removes
Yeah.
the the PC email account.
So
I would second that motion.
and the other thing that really scares me is I can't hardly keep up with all the other stuff that I do in the life. And I'm already having difficulty doing this job in the simple way that we've been doing it. To add another layer of complexity to it is why I say, I just don't want it.
Don't
I
need to.
I don't need that in my life.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary either. Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm wording this, just a little, I have motion by Ken Carter to remove the planning commission email and use telephone numbers instead. Would you take that?
Should
as
say
a
the town clerk, shouldn't
town clerk, right?
his telephone number is kind of,
And for the town clerk,
Yeah.
to use,
Deliver messages.
I would say the town clerk's contact information, because if someone can't phone between 9 and noon, Monday to Thursday, an email would be the obvious way to go. But to the town clerk, not,
I don't want to get into how the town clerk does his or.
no, but I'm saying, so be more general, use town clerk contact information. So then it could be phone or email, because does the town clerk have an email?
She does.
Yeah.
I mean, she writes me occasionally. Okay, so I have this motion. And tells me that somebody wants to do something. So we put it on the agenda. She doesn't call,
Mhm.
and that works for me. So I guess I'm a little concerned about just completely eliminating it. I just don't want it to be a separate email
Right.
address.
Yeah, take down the
Yeah.
planning
So I think
commission's,
to remove the planning commission email, that was how you originally said
Yeah.
it. That's how you seconded it. Let's just leave it as simple as that.
yeah.
Rather than talk about what the
How else
other
to-
ways
yep.
to do it. Because I think there's so many different ways.
People can figure it out.
Right. Everybody learns once you move to town that if you don't do business with Kathy when she's here in the building, you can't do business with Kathy
Right.
or the town clerk. So, that's just the way life is in a small town and almost every small town.
Yep.
Okay, so everybody's comfortable with that. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Very good. All right. And we need to get that message to who is the
Tim-
best to, you
Tam-
saying Tammy is the person?
Adam and Kathy, I think it is, maintain the current website. Tammy doesn't work, if I understood correctly. Tammy doesn't work yet.
All right, so let me write Tammy and tell her what we're trying to do here. And so I'll put that in the notes here,
So that's where that email is right now, is on the website.
Yeah, it's on the town website. It's how people get it. My fact, I was just about to open it up so you can see it. It's not blocking, no one's missing the screen where we post. No one's here, so.
okay, and then relative to the original reason we had this on the agenda, do we want to also note that we would like the people from Jordan Road property to come to
Come
a
to
meeting?
public comment, yeah. I'll put there, the public hearing, yes.
Yeah, or,
Or to
mean,
send
I-
a formal letter that we
right,
read.
I almost feel like they should talk to Brenda first before they talk to us, because,
I don't
like-
even know if it is a planning issue.
yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's not like they're, well, maybe they are gonna create a new law, but it's not a subdivision, I think they just.
to
wanna
me, it
know.
sounds like they want to purchase additional land. And that is a private transaction, but they want to be sure that it's a legal.
I think they feel now they don't,
transaction.
yeah, I feel like they think right now they don't have enough land to do this little project that they want, so they're. To get that space, they're wondering if they need to buy additional land from the neighbor.
So consider. Planning commission. Doesn't want to sell who's on the commission and it's seriously contacting them. So you just remove that and we contact that.
Mhm.
And that, what would be the way that would be done is that the town clerk contact the whomever is needed. And in any way that they want to.
Right.
It doesn't have to be prescriptive. What Kathy has done is she's either talked to me in person, called me, or emailed me, and I'm fine with all of that. And we're never discussing business any further than that. And if people do want my email, then they can go through the legal process to subpoena it.
Right.
That is a legal process. It is not just a request. And if people come to me with a subpoena, I'm glad to give them whatever they want.
No,
It happens to me all the time. I'm in state government. I get public records requests monthly.
Mhm.
And I have lawyers that help me gather all that stuff to send people. So I'm not bothered by this, but I am bothered by having another hoop to have to jump through to
Right.
get help to people.
It's the same thing, which is showing the difference. The zoning board says appointment only, and the administrative change that Brenda actually has her own phone number on the page for contacts. But even under the board of adjustments, they have the ZBA's email address. So, it's different ways of contact, and that's the main thing.
Who is the zoning board of adjustment?
That is, Heather's on it, two other ladies.
Really in here.
Can't think of it. I don't even have the faces in my.
Right. Oh, Sharon Evans and
No, this was,
all those.
Melanie and Heather and Maura Horn.
Okay.
there you go, right.
Who is it?
Melanie Riddle, Heather and Maura Horn. Melanie was our ZA before Brenda, but
That's what was, and it's as simple as, and we're making this way too long, I apologize, but it's as simple as I can go and just fill the email. out.
seems like it should be easy.
Yeah, I'm just afraid I would not do the email justice and that's my fault.
No,
If anybody else wants to do it,
I don't think it's necessary.
I mean,
I don't think it's necessary either.
okay. So that was the Jordan Road property discussion. Are you okay?
I'm fine with that. Yep,
All
I
right,
think,
good.
yeah, I don't know if someone, did we just say we think someone should contact that, whoever sent that email and,
Yeah, so what I've put here in the minutes are that we have the motion to remove the planning commission email approved. I will communicate this with Tammy to resolve that. And then I also will ask the party for the Jordan Road property to come to a planning commission meeting. Who is communicating with this person from Jordan Road?
this came through you somehow, right?
So I found it in the email box, no one had touched it, so I forwarded it off to Tammy to get it up to you folks, so no one's responding. It's just been sitting out there in the ether.
Right.
I mean, I can simply respond with desired with Tammy can, because she has it, probably more appropriate Tammy does, just request it come to the next meeting.
So I will ask Tammy to do that because I'm asking her to remove us. And that's all one person to go to get it done. Okay. All right. So the next thing on the agenda was to talk about the 2023 election and budget. So we started talking about this before we actually opened the meeting, but generally, the expenses that we've seen, we talked about a little bit. We've had an occasion or two to have a lawyer provide an opinion. And lawyers may be more expensive than we thought since last time. And we've also used it as a part of a small matching fund towards grants that are used, for example, to revise bylaws or town plan by helping to pay a portion of the salary to the Northwest Regional Planning Commission planner who comes to help us with that process. That dollar amount is an unknown, but if I recall the last time, it was under $2,000.
Mhm.
It was a pretty small amount of money. I could look it up. And that's problem going to my computer is looking things up. There's so much stuff stuffed in there. It sometimes takes me a half an hour to find things. But the point is that I think that we're good for this year with a modest amount request. We should find out what
Yeah.
that amount might be so that we can actually give the town select board some sort of help. I don't think we asked for anything separate, like the
Right,
planning commission.
just,
I think we've always just had it as a part of the overall.
Comes from the
Budget.
Does it come from the general expenses?
Yeah.
Is that where our budget comes out of? The general expenses, you know, or,
You actually have your own fund.
right? But what,
Planning commission.
there's,
But we never vote on it individually. It is merely voted on as a part
Part
of
of
the
the town budget.
overall town. Right.
Right, there is a.
a line,
Town budget that all of the funding comes from.
And so we are just a line item in that budget.
Correct.
Let's see, general fund, these are orders drawn, so we're probably in there, planning expense.
So it probably would be called budget. As opposed to receipts, disbursements, orders drawn. Because a budget is a estimate of what you think you're going to need to use for the coming year. Rather than a specific value.
Yeah, it does look like they might have just given us that 160. Because these are the street receipts that came out of the general fund, which I'm assuming that's where our money comes from, but
Yeah, that's why I thought that.
Yeah,
might have
no,
been
that-
it,
yeah,
'cause
that's-
It's kind of been like a token fund.
yeah. I think you're right. I think that's what we got last year was 160.
Unless that's some sort of receipt that we got from somebody, but for what? What do we charge anybody for? We charge for the plans when they get,
To
the town clerk?
The like
I think that-
applications, you mean, or?
I think that's what this receipt is. These receipts might be what they pay for the fee. Okay, so these are the taxes.
Northwest Regional Planning.
Okay, so here, planning receipts are always, they're a little bit different every year.
Yeah.
And then expenses. And so I think that's based on how many different permits we hear.
Mhm.
That if we hear a lot, like this year, 2020, then we get more. When it's just a few, like 2021,
We get less.
right? And it's all when they give a Mylar here, they got to pay a fee.
Yep. That's
And
where
it's
that comes from.
processing, and I think that's what that
That
planning
makes
fee is.
sense.
You want page 20?
We
No,
were on 13.
Page 20 is planning and common sense.
Okay, that makes sense. That sounds like a budget.
planning fees are 160, yeah.
Hey, page 20.
Yeah,
Perfect,
that's
thank you.
what, that's where it comes from. The planning fees are,
So we started with 575. That's kind of weird. That we got 160 and then so it just went up 160.
yeah, that was our,
So every time we process a permit, we're getting a fee, and that fee is going into our account
yeah,
and just building up. So we're not really asking for money each year. We're living off of the receipts.
The receipts that we get from
Right.
fees.
it must
That-
just be a portion of it, because I think, like just a subdivision fee is 175 or something. So
Yeah,
we-
that's
we
what
just
I
get-
don't know is what are. the
Friend, they
fees.
get some of that, must be,
Right,
and
I bet it is.
Kathy probably gets a little chunk
I
of
bet
that.
that's what it is. So we get a portion of
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense.
I don't think, John, we've ever been asked for a budget for any year. We've only operated on receipts, and those receipts, what we're discussing here, are in our mind based on the fees that people pay the clerk when they process paperwork for a property function. So they put in a property deed to be registered here. Let's say it's $200. Some part of it comes to us for what we did, some goes to zoning for what they did, and some goes to the clerk for what she did. That's what's reflected in the receipts. And that receipt increases the total money we have in the bank. What we have in the bank is a positive number. That's always made us feel comfortable. We could probably handle anything predictable.
Okay.
And for that reason, we've never really asked for anything more.
No.
And yet, one of the things that we do think about is every 5 or 7 years, maybe, we do revise the plan, we do this grant, we do this matching fund. And we look at how much money we have in our account, and we feel comfortable that that will cover our fees for the grant year. And that's where, again, I feel like, one, we're not in the grant year at this time. It will be next year. So it could be that next year we actually have to spend some of that money that's in our account for the revision of our town plan. I can ask the Northwest Regional Planning Commission what they would expect is the typical outlay for a town when they hire the Regional Planning Commission to help them revise a town plan. And that'll give us a figure that we can say, I think we're going to be good with the $5,700 versus, oh, we need to add $1,800 to it.
So just to ensure I understand correctly, on Monday's meeting, I'm okay to say the planning commission decided that they're going to let the account sit as it is and they're not requesting any monies on the budget. Be added.
No extra monies.
No, actually,
We'd like to continue to get our fees there, whatever they are, but yeah.
right. I want to make sure I'm looking
So,
at the appropriate message.
Well, first of all, we talked about this last month,
Mhm.
and I think that the question was answered that I would take this to them.
Correct. That was, and we were,
And I, no offense to you, but I really think it's better for me to go there than to
It
talk
is.
through you.
it is.
So I'm putting in my calendar here. Now, do I need to put on a calendar in here that I want to go to the select board and talk
I
to
would.
them?
Tammy makes the agenda for the select board, so you just tell her you're gonna be here at this next meeting's agenda. We were actually expecting you last Wednesday.
Oh, was it
That's why I brought it up again, just,
Ah.
say, hey, and
last Wednesday?
yeah, we moved it to Wednesday because of the holiday.
And
When we discussed it at your last meeting, we're gonna come to the next meeting, and it's okay. It's all
are you
good.
talking about Wednesday before Christmas?
That's correct. We met on the 28th.
No, I didn't put it in my calendar, so I'm sorry, I missed
So
it.
we're meeting the 9th, this next Monday.
Right, I've got it. in
We're
my
actually
calendar.
meeting, I think, the next 3 Mondays.
And that's at 7 o'clock, right?
7 PM when the meeting starts. And you can dial in using the recurring Monday, or you can show up in person.
Okay,
All right.
got it. Because I think I also want to talk about just how things are going generally. It's been a while since I've met with the folks, and it seems like they've all changed. And it seems like it's being driven by some different personalities. And I just want to make sure I am falling in line with what people are expecting. Okay,
Okay.
so election, do we have anybody that is coming up this
I
time?
thought Heather might have been, Heather's expires in 2023, so.
Okay, so
probably should-
she's left, can't
Yeah.
really talk to her.
So she should have her petition being filled out if she's
Okay,
planning to run again. Which she might not be after tonight.
okay, so I'm gonna put in here, Heather may be up for election. I'm gonna put Heather's position. We should find out from her. So what is Tammy's position with this town?
Tammy is the assistant town clerk. She also records the select board's meeting minutes and notes, and she sits on the line.
Okay. I didn't know we had an assistant town clerk.
And she also does the meeting notes for ARPA, the ARPA committee, and as well as the zoning board. So technically, she acts in several capacities, as scribe or secretary, whatever term you want. to
Does
use.
she vote in all of those?
No, these are assigned. I'm not even sure about.
She votes here.
For planning commission. I'm not sure about assistant town clerk. It's, I don't know if it's just like the title given or. You know, Kathy's voted in and she's part-time.
She was appointed, or she was, yeah, that's not an elected position, assistant town clerk.
Because the easiest way to do things, if she's assistant town clerk, which sounds is absolutely the case, she's been doing great to do some things to help us.
Mhm.
And I'd like to continue to do that. So it could be that some of these issues relative to communication can be handled if she is maybe there's understanding that we're not going to use an email account for us to go to find out if people want to talk to us. We're going to have them come to hearings where they can call an individual commissioner,
Right.
or they can talk to the town clerk who can, or her, they can email us. Tammy emails me. That's why it's kind of weird. I don't know.
Well, to be clear, the select board didn't say you had to have an email address. My understanding, like I said, was you wanted an email address.
Yeah, I think that became clear.
Yeah, so.
We didn't.
You're not getting all the- But, you know, it wasn't needed from the select board or anything, because our board.
We're not, who started that?
Who started?
Heather wanted it, I believe.
Yeah.
My understanding was for the ZBA and planning commission, you guys all want a universal email address, so I made.
Yeah, no, we never discussed it. She made that decision for us, I think.
Oh, that's apparent.
Okay, well, thanks all for the drama. Getting comma. Hey, you like that?
Pretty
Oh, good.
Pretty
I have to
good.
take you everywhere I go. I need somebody to laugh about it.
Bada boom.
Really corny. No. All right.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
I would second that.
Oh, hold on,
motion.
excuse me. When's the next one?
Yeah, so next meeting is February 6th. And I will be,
Elsewhere.
yeah. Oregon, right?
Ooh, which
Wow.
bit of Oregon?
Corvallis,
I
actually.
know Corvallis well.
Yeah. You
Kids,
do?
yeah, we
Oh,
lived in
that's right.
Oregon
You
14 years,
were
yeah.
watching, yeah, right. So yeah, gonna go to Oregon State University and teach a class.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
So are would you like prefer to, it sounds like
I-
you're gone almost all next month, so should we try to? stay
So
with that?
actually, it's just that first week of February.
Yeah.
So I could be, again, like the third week,
Yeah.
if you wanted to try that. So the third week of February is when we don't have the interference with the planning, or
Mm.
excuse me, the select board.
Mhm.
So that would be Monday, the 20th.
I'm fine with that
That
myself.
works for me.
Good. So how long were you guys out of power? Did you?
2 days.
Yeah, we were 4.5.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't lose it on Main Street.
Green Mountain Power's got all the good roads.
You,
There's a reason the federal government pays Vermont Electric Co-op to do the crappy parts of properties in the state. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Rolling hills, lots of woods.
Yeah. Well, we're at Enosburg and we're fortunate because Dave Westcomb and Steve Jones live on Chester Arthur Road, so that apparently it's in the contract or whatever that they linemen are sort of required to get power
Oh.
back as fast as possible. 'cause
Wow.
Because they might need to, they're not allowed to work a certain number of hours, so they need to go home and they want to be able to eat, etc., shower, whatever, so.
February 20th,
Yes.
That is correct.
7 PM. So now I move we adjourn.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I.
We are adjourned.